I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
A march to dismantle the legacy of racism is planned next weekend in Duluth. Tonight we'll talk with members of the Justice City Coalition.
A group of young professionals on the Iron Range is working to reimagine the future with a series of events this month.
And we'll talk with the WDSE team that has been nominated for 2 Emmy Awards and has a new show in the works.
So don't go away. Almanac North coming up right now. Well, hello and welcome to Almanac North once again. Thank you very much for watching. And Julie, fall colors are reaching their peak all around the region.
They are, and I hope that the rain doesn't knock all of them off, but it still should be a beautiful weekend to get out and take a look.
This is the weekend to do it.
This is the weekend indeed.
Yep, it's all yours.
All right, thanks so much, Denny, and welcome everyone. A grassroots network of people fighting for racial equity in the Twin Ports area is organizing a march to call attention to the issue. The Justice City Coalition will be leading the march on October 14th in Duluth. Joining us now to talk about the march and more is Kim Young, one of the lead planners for the Justice City Coalition, and Missy Polster is also with the Justice City Coalition. And thanks, ladies, both of you, for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, Kim, start maybe by just telling us a little bit about what the Justice City Coalition is all about and how it got started.
Well, the Justice City Coalition got started the year Jamar Clark was killed down in Minneapolis, and a group of us got together to protest and to hold a vigil for him. And we had decided to do it on the night of the Christmas City of the North parade, and we got a lot of flack back from the community because we wanted to make it known that Black lives didn't matter and that we were, against police brutality and police killings of unarmed U.S. citizens. Well, one of the slurs that we got from someone in the community was, you people act like you're the Justice City Coalition, and it stuck. So we took it and decided to use it as something positive to bring awareness to the issues that were affecting our community regarding covert racism and the legacy of white supremacy that enslaves us all. So we just went from there, and it's a loosely based coalition of organizers in the community who come together from time to time depending on the situation and the need.
So Missy, then that's bouncing off of what you just said. Who belongs to the organization? Who's involved?
Actually, lots of different people and organizations that change almost from week to week, depending upon what the topic is, depending upon what they hear, what they see, what they want to bring to the group. And so it's rather fluid, which makes it interesting, challenging.
Can you name some of the organizations that might be involved?
Well, the place we hold the meeting is meant as peacemakers.
Oh, sure.
They, I believe they donate the space for us.
Yes.
This last week, the newest attendees were from Anonymous. I'm not sure if
Anonymous Twin Ports. Occupy Duluth has been a member since the beginning. Politics Off My Body, which is one of my organizations.
So a lot of people have jumped on board.
A lot of people have jumped on board. When we began, it was also, we had a contingent from Amnesty International, UWS, Occupy Duluth, as I stated, members of the community, the hip hop community up here as well. So lots of artists and activists in the area.
So The march is called the March to Dismantle the Legacy of Racism and Build a Community of Peace.
Yes.
Describe that legacy of racism that you see and how you hope to dismantle it And how a march brings you closer to that goal, I guess.
Well, the goal this time with this march and rally is to change the playing field of how protest action usually comes about and what you can take away from it. Because we have seen in the last few years, protests have gained momentum, but it's always a fact that you come, you protest, you hold a vigil, you light a candle, you go home, and you go back to everyday racism as it sits. And what we're talking about is covert racism, things that are so ingrained in the society that we're all enslaved by white supremacy. It's a fact that you could commit an act of racism without even knowing it, such as with a person of color taking the privilege to touch their hair without asking or thinking it's okay to do so, or the school to prison pipeline, which a lot of our young males and females before the age of 9, if they're not able to read, they're kind of slated for that pipeline by being pushed into IEP programs and special education programs. So there's a lot of different issues that go into it. The one thing that we do agree upon is that the legacy of racism is so ingrained in our communities that it's going to take a dramatic shift to remove it or dismantle it. So part of what we're doing is giving a specific set of asks to the city councils of Duluth and Superior that do not come from specifically the community leaders in our community or people who normally you see talk at every function that we have. It's coming from the people. So we decided we wanted to see something, instead of trickling down from leadership in our communities, we wanted it to fountain up from the people from a grassroots level.
Is the issue of racism approached at all in elementary school?
It should be, but it's not. What we've noticed in a lot of the educational systems is that training can come from the administrative level and it can come from an outside source, but it usually doesn't go any further than the administrative level, which reaches to principals and vice principals at school, but it doesn't always get down to the teachers and staff who actually need it because they work on a daily basis.
Hence, it doesn't come down to the students.
So it doesn't come down to the students. And we've noticed also, and we've got information from ISD 709 and other school districts in Minnesota and Wisconsin to see that we have had racial justice initiatives before in the community. We've started them. The groundwork has been laid out for them, but for some reason they've either fizzled out, they weren't fully supported by the community, so they weren't effective. So nothing really happened. It just kind of stayed on a flat point.
Missy, we're getting close to running out of time, but give us some examples of the specific asks that the group wants to bring to elected officials.
Oh gosh, there's a fairly long list of them.
Pick 3.
Put me on the spot here. One has specifically to do with education, and that is that when a curriculum is developed, that it be developed by a person of color and delivered, that perspective needs to be brought and kept within the school so that it becomes part of the fabric of the education, not a special thing that can fizzle away. Needs to be part of it.
Maybe one more. We're running out of time.
Okay. Housing. And Kim, I'm going to ask, can you speak a little bit more to the verbiage of that? Because
Well, specifically, and I don't want to go into too much detail. We really want to have people come and learn more about what's going on at the march next Saturday from 10 to 12. But we're looking at the main components that roll into racism: housing, employment access, education access, and incarceration. And we really want to hold not only those who are in charge accountable, but also the people in the community accountable to become involved.
All right. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of groups coming, and I imagine a lot of people out on your march. Thanks for coming in and
Thank you both.
telling
Thank you
us
for
about
having
it.
us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Together, Northwest and KLM will be the 3rd largest airline in the world. But more importantly for Northlanders, this deal may provide Northwest with the financial stability necessary to begin construction on Airbus maintenance facilities. And from an investment standpoint, Neil Atkins says this alliance will lend credibility to Northwest.
I see it as making Northwest Airlines a healthier airline, and that's of paramount importance to us here in Duluth and in Minnesota because of the deal that we've constructed.
Although this new agreement between Northwest and KLM doesn't ensure any immediate economic rewards to be felt locally, it does renew confidence in the investment the Northland has placed in Northwest. In Duluth, Joanne Matter, KDLH News.
Well, a group of Iron Rangers is continuing their efforts to attract and retain young adults in the area. ReGen began as a task force and is now an ongoing group that organizes events and has a successful mentorship program for young students. Now, this month they are holding a series of Be the Change events at the Minnesota Discovery Center in Chisholm. And here to tell us a lot more is Desiree Yourczek, a founding member of ReGen and the current board vice president. And Sarah Kangas is a member of the ReGen board. Thank you both for being here. Desiree, maybe you can tell us how this got started and what's the goal of ReGen?
ReGen, so we got started, as you said, a task force of like-minded, I guess, motivated young people on the range that were looking to get plugged in to different things, either volunteering or civic opportunities, or just seeing more things happen and kind of celebrating good ideas and enhancing like a positive culture and being welcoming to new ideas for the Iron Range.
Now the month-long series is called Be the Change. Sarah, as you look at the range, what's the change that you think needs to be made?
A lot more community involvement. We're really trying to engage anyone from all sorts of places. We just really want them to see the quality of life and the different things that the Iron Range has to offer that a lot of people aren't aware of.
And in doing so, are you trying to entice young people to stay on the Iron Range?
Yeah, and you know, we'd like other people to come to the range too. There's a lot of job opportunities that people aren't aware of. Just expanding the culture and the opportunity that is there. We have lots of things going on with art, and we just really want to expand that.
Now, one of the workshops is on civic and policy engagement. Are you seeing young adults entering the political life and the civic arena to the point where it's making a difference on the Iron Range, or is there a cynicism amongst young adults to even enter?
I would say both right now. So we have had success with younger people, you know, representatives, state representatives, people filling different board positions and commission positions, the younger people starting to step up. However, because the Iron Range is so unique in that it is all of these, you know, we're not one, you don't just like go to that one place in the Iron Range. We're a collection of communities, and as such, you know, we have many, many different townships, cities that have each their own boards. There's so many different school boards that are comprised within the Iron Range area that, you know, there's even more opportunity for younger people to step into these roles as older generations exit them. And one of the big challenges that we've found is that especially, you know, a lot of the cities don't have like very high-tech websites or things like, how do you start? Where's the application you hand in to be on your city council or whatever?
Are young adults on the Iron Range also working to attract new industry to the Iron Range, or are you leaving that to older residents?
We are definitely working towards attracting new industries to the Iron Range. It's definitely something that needs to expand. You know, it's very known for mining, but we would like to see other things in addition to mining, which would also bring in younger or more vibrance to the Iron Range.
As you work with the people, talk to more people up there, are Iron Range communities open to change? Is the old guard willing to hand it on to the next generation of people like yourselves who want to pick up that mantle and move forward with it?
Yeah, I think so, actually. So a lot of the conversations that we've had have revolved around, like, you know, old people versus young people coming in and trying to steal, you know, and change everything, when really we've had a very positive response to the things that we're trying to do around the range. And there's a lot of people who want to help because, you know, they love the range and we love the range, and we find that common ground.
How do you find the range 5 to 10 years from now? What do you expect to see?
I expect to see a movement that has been made where there's more individuals that have come to the range that see the opportunity, the quality of life, and are involved with it and engaged in the local community. We have so much to offer with schools and people. You know, we're kind. We really try to engage other people on the Iron Range, and it would be great for people to see that and to come and to join in that.
I think that the next, 5 to 10 years are going to be huge for the Iron Range because, especially as broadband expands, we're the place that everyone goes to vacation. So now if you can live there where you vacation and do remote work and find even more opportunities and economic diversification, I think that, yeah.
With that, we have to leave it. Want to thank you both. Desiree, Sarah, thank you both for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Well, it's a big weekend for broadcasters here in the Upper Midwest. More than 500 media professionals from the 5-state region will be attending the Regional Emmy Awards in the Twin Cities Saturday. Now, among those in attendance will be WDSE's own team behind The Playlist, who are working on a new series for 2018. And so joining us now is Karen Sunderman, producer of The Playlist, nominated this year for 2 Emmy Awards, and Steve Ash is the photographer, director, and editor of Playlist. Great to have you both here. Thanks very much for showing up tonight. So, tell us a little bit now about the 2 programs that have received Emmy nominations.
Well, being Emmy nominated is a pretty cool
It
thing
is.
because you're in good company, as you both know, because you've had that experience as well. We got a chance to showcase Chen Chi, who is an absolute gem in our community, and Galen Lee.
Both great people in this town, both fascinating and have a lot of passion. I believe we also have some
we have some clips from it. Why don't we start out with the Chen Chi piece, and then we can talk a little bit about it.
Great.
Like, I would be terrified to make a piece like this because it's very doesn't have a horizon. There's kind of like a bunch of random shapes that probably wouldn't really, like, what part of a fish way back there is that? I mean, he had to like think about that.
You study that, you have thorough knowledge of that. Then when you come to the studio, you paint an interpretation, you paint what you feel, rather than paint physical likeness of the thing.
In his koi pieces, I see this circular motion that's so consistent of like fish swirling and swimming.
Oftentimes, the friends will ask me, how do you get the fish to stand so still for? They are in my head.
So Steve, when you're putting a piece like this together, do you know right away that this is one that is super special?
When we were shooting this story, I felt like it was something different and special, and just the different people that we got to talk to for this piece was really exciting.
There are a lot of special people up here in the Northland. Once you find them, you plug into them, and you know that there could be something here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, people like Adam Swanson and I'm going to forget Peter Spooner, and
So many.
So yeah, there were many people, and they all had their own perspective on She, and kind of gave us a different reason to like what he does.
Is there a pressure or challenge that you feel when you meet some of the individuals that you talk to really tell their story in a compelling way that not only appeals to the audience, but like works for them? You know?
Well, that's when when it's the best is when you tell their story in the way that they want to be experienced.
We have another
to
clip.
share their and Galen Lee is one of those people, incredibly talented woman, and we caught her at just that moment where she was going from local musician to touring musician nationally and internationally. So
Watch
take a look
this.
at that. Yeah.
When we're on stage, it's very much a collaboration. And in fact, more and more, it's actually me backing her up because she has songs and I have to concentrate very hard sometimes to make sure I play them well.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because they're good songs and she means business.
What do you see with your eyes, baby? The vision you paint is so bleak. Has the world drained out all of your color? Do you find only that which you seek? 'Cause I see it too, just different than you, but I see it too.
This kind of gets back to what we were talking about before the clip came up, but also the way that you let the people tell their own story. Is that very intentional as you're heading into production and putting it together?
That's something that we have been working on for many years now, but we've kind of, with the playlist, went totally letting people tell their own stories and in their own words. So it's definitely, you know, them.
In 2018, you have a new program coming up called Making It. What's that all about?
That is creative people, artists, musicians, as well as entrepreneurs, creative problem solvers, who kind of approach maybe swimming upstream a little bit, maybe challenges in making a living, in breaking in learning a craft. It's kind of all of the things that most of us encounter at some point. Dennis, when you broke into the news business, you know, what did it feel like? What were the hurdles that you had to approach? And we're doing that through telling stories, through personal stories of artists, entrepreneurs, and musicians who are working in our own community.
Wow.
Can you give a little bit of a sneak peek on some of the folks or types of folks who will be featured in the new series?
Everything from artisans, Eric at Duluth Coffee, and you know, creating his business, a paddle maker.
Beth Homa, who is weaving, like literally weaving the coolest baskets and can koozies, and what she's doing with birch bark baskets is different than, she is an artist. She's amazing.
Sounds like this is going to be a program designed to inspire.
It should. I mean, anybody to take a chance. You know, if you have that brilliant idea and you're on the sidelines and you're waiting to figure out when you can step up and do it, these are the people who've already kind of done that, and they'll share their story.
Now, the two of you have been working together as a team for quite a few years now on different programs, I think starting with Venture North and moving on through the playlist and Great Gardening. And what makes you such a great creative team? How do you work together to just continue to have success and
I'm the
continue to keep it
introvert.
fresh?
She's the extrovert.
We aren't
I'm
getting
the
that at all.
visuals. She's the words.
She's also
So,
the extrovert.
yeah.
I'm the introvert.
It helps to balance, though. And when Steve is in the zone and has the space to do what he does, it's really fun to watch. And it truly just get out of the way. It's really awesome.
Are you nervous heading into the weekend as you're going down to the Emmys?
I mean, it's a cliche, but it's just an honor to be nominated, really. I mean, I feel like we've won already.
Yeah, we get to go and have a good dinner and
Yes.
hang out with people who are doing quality work,
Yes.
which is really cool.
Well, the two of you have done some Fabulous quality work.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks
for letting us
Thanks
be here
for coming
tonight.
in.
Karen,
Always
Steve.
fun to talk with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you too, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Well, now let's take a look at the week's business news from our friends at Business North. The Natural Resources Research Institute has developed a process to produce solid biofuel from wood waste on a commercially relevant scale. The NRRI announced this week its Coleraine lab created a briquette biofuel that replicates the energy output and durability of traditional coal, but it has net zero carbon emissions. The facility will install equipment next spring to greatly increase the output of briquettes. Officials say the resulting biofuel has the advantages of being able to be stored outside and can be used in place of coal with very little modification needed.
A Thunder Bay firm that currently manufactures bitters plans to cross the border into Minnesota to manufacture distilled beverages. Frape & Sons will develop an operation in Grand Marais where the product line will include whiskey, gin, bourbon, and liqueurs. A key reason for the move is taxes. Small distillers in Ontario must pay 80 cents of tax on every dollar, but they are taxed at the rate of only 14 cents in Minnesota. The new facility will employ 25 plus in the distillery, a retail store, and a bar and restaurant.
UMD's Leibovitz School of Business and Economics has launched its newest minor, Sustainable Business and Organization. The minor is not offered at any other Minnesota university. About 86% of large companies have at least one full-time employee who spends all of their time working on sustainability. Surveys of student interest at UMD's business school indicate that more than a half were interested in enrolling in this minor. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
Well, your calls and comments about the show are welcomed. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message. You can also send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. Point your browser to the WDSE website for the latest program information and to keep up with events here at the television station. And Julie, if the rain holds off, I might have to get out and mow the lawn one more time.
No way. Just let the fall
Let
kill
it go.
off.
Pick it up in the spring. All right, for Julie and the crew here at WDSE, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.